Hi guys, it's Rob from Royal Balls. I was asked an extremely good question by one of the viewers about my philosophy on het-to-het pairings and why I was pairing het-to-hets, or even 66% pos hets to 66% pos hets. So I'd like to talk about today philosophy and the ball python market here in Malaysia that kind of drives that necessity to use hets and to take a little bit more project risk than you would normally do. All ball pythons need to have a license. Only licensed breeders and pet shops can sell ball pythons and issue licenses. So that's obviously been very restrictive on the hobby here in Malaysia. A lot of the genes that you see that are commonly available in other countries are not available here in Malaysia. So let's just quickly remind ourselves of what we actually mean by heterozygous. The heterozygous form of a recessive gene means that the animal is carrying one copy of the gene and there is no visual expression of that recessive gene in the animal. It looks like a normal, but is carrying one copy of the gene. You need to have two copies of the gene in order to see the visual recessive, and visual recessives would be albinos, would be exanthics, would be clowns, a large number of recessive projects, but in order to see the visual you need to have two copies of the gene. In this particular case I'm going to use a Punnett Square, and we're going to use two exanthic hets, which means they're non-visuals. So the male on the top is carrying one copy of the exanthic gene, not two copies. The female is also carrying one copy of the exanthic gene, not two copies. So they're both heterozygous for exanthic. Now when you pair them, each parent provides half of the genetic material required for the offspring. So each of these parents is going to provide one half of itself to the offspring. So let's have a look at what the options are. In our Punnett Square there are four potential outcomes. The male can provide a copy of the gene or no copy of the gene, a copy of the gene or no copy of the gene. There is a 50% chance that his offspring will carry one copy of the exanthic gene. Same for the female. She can provide a copy of the gene or no copy of the gene. She can provide a copy of the gene or no copy of the gene. So 50% of her offspring also will carry the gene from her. So when we look at the outcome, this square here, or 25% of the offspring in this case, is carrying two copies of the gene, homozygous. These will be visual exanthics. We have two squares that carry one copy of the gene, but they are both visual normals. These are heterozygous, the same as the parents. They are het for exanthic. This square is carrying no copies of the gene. So if we look at the offspring, we can remove from the clutch the visuals because we know what they are. There's no guesswork involved there. They are visual exanthic. That leaves us three babies. All three look normal. Two of the babies are carrying one copy of the exanthic gene. So that means 2 out of 3 babies, or 66% of the babies, are carrying the gene. 1 in 3 babies, or 33%, is not carrying a copy of the gene. We do not know which one. It is impossible to know which one because they're all visual normals. So what we do is describe these animals as being 66% possibility of them being heterozygous for exanthic. There are no in-betweens. It's either carrying the gene or it's not carrying the gene. We just don't know which of the animals is. So there's a 2 in 3 or 66% chance if you pick any one of the 3 remaining babies, there is a 66% chance that that baby is carrying the gene. The only way you will ever know is to breed it out and to find out whether it produces exanthic babies or just normal babies when it's bred to another animal that's carrying the exanthic gene. So if you breed a visual to a possible het and get no visuals, the chances are your possible het is not a het. And that's why it's always a gamble. You're playing the odds and you're hoping that the animals are carrying the gene. It's only if you get a visual exanthic in the clutch that you know that both parents are carrying at least a single copy of the gene. Okay, so het to het is always a risky proposition. Het to visual is a much easier way of proving out whether the animal is heterozygous or not. If you use a visual and a het and none of the babies come out as visuals, then you know your het is not a het. It is not carrying the gene. So the first project we're going to look at is derived from this male. This is pastel spot nose yellow belly male that I was able to locate and acquire, add to my collection last year. It was already an adult male, and I immediately thought, spot nose, I want to make Batmans. So I needed to get spot nose into my clowns. So I bred this guy to this female, my pastel vanilla clown female. Okay, so I got a clutch of eggs from her earlier this year, and obviously with her being a visual clown, they were all 100% het for clowns, and half the babies were spot nose, 3 females, and I also got a yellow belly female het for clown and 2 vanilla het for clowns, 1 super pastel and 1 straight pastel, plus a normal. So everything went according to plan. I did get my spot nose hets, and I don't need any excuse to show off this girl one more time. This is the pick of that clutch. This is a female. It's a super pastel spot nose vanilla yellow belly het for clown. I couldn't have asked for a better female snake to carry on that project. With Batman in mind, this is obviously the perfect candidate for breeding back to a visual leopard clown. Half the babies in that case would be visual clowns, and a very good possibility of getting a Batman as well as some incredible yellow belly, vanilla and pastel clown combos. So that would be the normal way of going about a recessive project. Unfortunately, I could not locate a leopard clown. I could not locate even a leopard het for clown. But fortunately, when I acquired the male last year, I was able to chat things over with ARP constrictors, knowing that we didn't have a leopard clown or leopard het for clown between the two of us, and both of us were interested in producing the Batman. I suggested that ARP constrictors produce a clutch of leopard het clowns this year, which he went away and did in return for obviously swapping some of my spot nose females in return for the leopard het clowns. So it's a joint project. So enter the other half of the deal. This is a leopard het for clown, and obviously the project has a long way to go yet. This is the male, this is the female spot nose combo, and the male, but that is the ticket for the Batman. So I did swap this male leopard het for clown for some of clutch number 2, the spot nose het for clown. So ARP Constrictors now has exactly the same project, which means that normally you would want to pair a visual to your het, but I can't because there isn't one available. But no problem, we'll do the het to het, that's not a big deal. And but at the same time, ARP Constrictors will be working on their own version of the Batman. So he now has some spot nose het for clowns, and he also kept back from the clutch of leopard het clown. He also kept back a male. So independently, we've given ourselves the best shot from a het to het pairing of producing a Batman combination. Batman vanilla, Batman yellow belly, Batman pastel. The possibilities are endless from this particular female, so that's a fairly conventional route to a recessive project. The only difference is that I am being forced to go het to het for the next generation rather than the preferred route of finding a visual leopard clown and putting it to this het for clown girl. But no problem, we'll have 2 clutches or more in the next couple of years from myself and ARP Constrictors, and amongst that bunch of snakes will undoubtedly be the prize that we're both seeking. So that's a nice project for the future. This is my Batman project, and I now have the ingredients I need. I've got my spot nose het for clown, and I've got my leopard het for clown. Another recessive project I'm working on is a lavender project. Now this guy here is a Firefly 100% het lavender. It's a male, and he's already up to size for breeding. So I'm working on another het to het project to produce visual lavenders. So this is the male Firefly het for lavender, and this is one of 2 pastel 100% het for lavender females that I have, and she is already up to 1500 grams, is over 2 years old, so both of those have already been paired up once this year. So 1 in 4 of the offspring from a het to het pairing should be a visual lavender, and the other combinations, the non-visual babies in the clutch, will be 66% het lavenders, but they'll also be fires, fireflies and superflies from the pastel in both of the parents in this case. So I have 2 females, which doubles my chances of getting the visual recessive lavender, and I have a 3rd female who is not up to size yet, only about 18 months old, just over 1000 grams, so she has a good year to go before she's ready. But this is a fire female 100% het for lavender, and again that would be an interesting combination with that male, because fire to fire is an allelic complex and produces an almost completely white snake. But we do also have the possibility that 1 in 4 of the offspring should be visual lavenders, and there is an outside chance that we can get a visual lavender which is also a super fire, which would be an all-white snake with pink eyes, a cherry bomb, which would be absolutely awesome. It is an outside chance, but it does make the project a little more interesting. So those are my 3 het for lavender females and my het for lavender male, and even the non-visuals will give me some exciting combinations. So again, I think from a standard breeding perspective, that's not too much of a stretch to want to do these projects. So that's another one of my recessive projects. That's the lavender project. I think where we step into some of the bigger odds projects, this is clearly a visual normal, but she came from a double het to double het pairing. She is actually 66% possible het exanthic, 66% possible het for clown, and the pairing was done at ARP Constrictors, so I actually saw the clutch that she hatched out from, and they were visual exanthics and visual clowns in the clutch. He's repeated the pairing in successive years, and in fact I just picked up a couple of snakes this year, a possible double het clown exanthic and a visual exanthic female which is also 66% possible het for clown, and those are the two runts that I showed in a previous video. If I can get them eating, if I can save them, I get to keep them and add them to this project. So I have two females that are both 66% possible het for exanthic clown. I have two females that are 66% possible het albino clown, and they are up to age as well. And I also have one male 66% possible het for albino clown, and he is breeding this year to my two possible het albino clown females, and that really is a long shot. But when you've seen the pairings of the two hets that produced the clutch every year for the last 3 years, and you've seen the clutches that are produced by those two hets, there's a very strong possibility that they're carrying one or both of the genes. If they're not and they don't prove out, I can simply go down to ARP constrictors and look at last year's clutch and select either a visual to prove out what I haven't been able to prove out this year with the pos het to pos het pairings, or I can select another possible double het and just play the long odds. I don't make my living from this, so the results are not critical. I just enjoy breeding, and it's just a nice project to have. So when you work in conjunction with other breeders, the odds on your individual results are increased vastly if the other guy is also doing the same thing. It gives you a double shot. So you reduce the odds in half automatically. So this is an interesting pairing. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I've got two 66% possible double het exanthic clowns and two albino clowns, and they're all up to size this year. I don't have a male to go to the exanthics, but I might pair them to a clown just to prove out the clown side of things. I don't really need those clutches at this present time, so I might just stick with the albino. The albino clowns have been paired this year, so we'll take a punt on that and see what we get. Another pairing that I'll be doing this year, again producing my own hets, so I have full control of the project. I know what the genetics are that are involved, and I will be producing my own 100% hets. This is a leopard ivory female, or silky way, and she is already up to size this year, and she is being paired to my pastel pied male, and the objective being to produce the yellow belly het for pieds in her clutch and try to produce some pumpkin pieds in the future. So again, it takes time to do these things, but I'm a patient person and I love these snakes, so it's not too much of a hardship to breed them and see what we get. And again, the deal with ARP constrictors is that I produce the yellow belly het for pied, and he goes ahead and produces hets of his own, and we can do a swap. So he may want to do clown, he may want to do orange dream into a pied, and then we can go for orange dream yellow belly pieds. So the possibilities are endless when you work in conjunction with other breeders who can produce the other half of the equation for you in terms of different hets to pair back. So this girl is going to go to a pastel pied male, and we'll produce yellow belly het for pieds, some of which we can swap out for other genetics in het for pieds. So that's another interesting project where we'll be working with hets. This is my pastel pied male that the leopard ivory is being bred to produce those hets. He's a lovely example of a pastel pied, lots of pattern, fairly low white and very, very bright yellows. He's holding his colour extremely well. This guy is a proven breeder. I do have some, believe it or not, I have some pastel het for pied females that I held back from a clutch of his a couple of years ago, and they're rapidly getting up to size. And again, let me just show you those. This girl here is one of his daughters. She is a pastel 100% het for pied, and when she gets up to size, we'll be trying for killer pieds or super pastel pieds. So I'll be a bit naughty and breed the father back to the daughter. And I have two of these girls that I kept back, so I have a double shot at killer pieds probably next year. That's another recessive het project, but this time it's a het to a visual, so the odds for that one are quite favourable. The last animal that I want to show is again another het for clown. This is a het for clown male, and this is going to be plugged back into my vanilla projects. This is a pastel Mojave Enchi vanilla het for clown. So we've got pastel, we've got Mojave, we've got Enchi, and we've got vanilla, all in a het clown male. And this will be a superb male actually to put back to some of my spot nose het for clowns that I produced from the spot nose pairing this year. So I do have a number of het for clowns that this male can go to. We can put spot nose in there, and some of them also have yellow belly in there, so we can add an extra gene and see what they look like. But that combination should be absolutely phenomenal. Even if we don't get visual clowns from it, we'll get some really exciting looking super vanillas, other really nice multiple genetic combos, all of which will be 66% het for clown, and we should get 1 in 4 which is a visual clown, and those visual clowns should be absolutely superb. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope that explains some of my philosophy behind my het to het pairings. It's not critical for me. I'm a hobby breeder. Whether they pan out or they don't pan out, I do have recessive projects that I'm working on with specific goals where I breed my own hets and do breed them back, so I know exactly what's going on in terms of tracking the project and the genetic development. But I also do take a punt on long shots from time to time. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and there's no loss. If the hets don't pan out or one of the pairing doesn't pan out, I can go straight down to ARP Constrictors, just 15 minutes down the road. I can browse through his hatchlings and either pick a visual or pick a 66% possible het from one of the clutches, grow it up and put that back to my boss het project. So it's a constantly evolving process, and it's very exciting actually, not quite knowing what you're going to get and whether you're going to get the visuals, exanthics, clowns, exanthic clowns, albinos, albino clowns. When you do get clutches from these animals, the excitement when the eggs start to hatch is just it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And as I said, it's not life-threatening for me. I'm not making my living from this. I'm not selling all of my hatchlings. I just like to breed ball pythons and prove out some of these long shots. So that's the philosophy. I hope that makes sense. I hope you continue to watch, because we've got a lot of exciting stuff moving forward. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.